Hey, it's Harry here on the 80s at 8. You guys know by now, I love having interviews, and we have an absolutely huge one today. She's so, she's such a icon of the 80s. She only needs one name. Thank you so much for joining the 80s at 8, Tiffany. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. Thank you.
And you're fresh, you said fresh off a tour at the UK, correct?
I am, yes, I go back and forth. I live part-time in the UK, part-time in Nashville, and always on the road. But yeah, I just got back from the UK. Oh gosh, the day after, well, 2 days ago. So I'm coffee fueled. I'm a little jet lag, I'm not gonna lie. And I've got a couple more days before we hit the road. Of course, doing shows all over, getting ready to retro again. It's exciting because, these are the top of the shows for this year, 2025. So it's always great to be with fans, and I call them my family, extended family. And just, we've got some surprises on this set list, some songs that you haven't heard me sing in a very long time. And of course, the meet and greets. Get yourself a meet and greet. They benefit Children's Miracle Network. We're raising money for charity. So come meet me backstage. I really do sit there with you guys. And, I usually have all my crafty come into my dressing room where I bring all my meet and greets and sit and chat with you guys. People go, "What?" And you're like, "This is not a rush situation." I said, "Absolutely not. Sit down. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other." So it's my chance to interview them, actually. So yeah, it's top of the year. Everybody's fresh in Team Tiff, and we're just ready to give some great shows and be in the moment.
That's awesome. So you have shows coming up here. You go on the Ultimate 80s Cruise. Is that something you've done before?
I love the 80s cruise. I've now become really good friends with a lot of the 80s cruise family. So I call them extended family. It is such a fun cruise. I think anytime you put 80s in the mix, it just changes the atmosphere. It really does. People just want to come and reminisce and have a good time. Of course, there's that timeless music. I don't know what it is about the 80s. It just makes you happy. And I love being a part of that. So, it's awesome that my song is included in that, and it's great to see people, just kind of having a really good time. Some get dressed up, some don't. But everybody, the common denominator is loving the music.
Again, we are with Tiffany here on the 80s at 8. One thing I find so interesting is, and for whatever reason, I don't think you are necessarily referred to as a child artist, but at the time, I mean, when you were having your huge hits, how old were you? 16, 15? I can't even remember.
I was 14 when I recorded the first album,
Wow.
and 15 when it came out, 16 when I started doing all the touring worldwide. And I really haven't stopped since. I mean, I've been working on myself as a singer-songwriter. I live in Nashville now and still recording, putting albums out. I just had a new album out in 2019, but now we have like singles that we've been releasing since 2020. Like I said, I go over to the UK, so I've done some Mass Singer there, and we released a Robbie Williams song called Angels. So that's kind of my latest single. And then we're reworking some of the greatest hits that'll be coming out. And then I'm always writing. And I have a home studio now. So it lends itself to just create. I say that this year is the most creative year for me. I think we all kind of worked through COVID, got ourselves up and running, resorted ourselves financially, de stressed from all of that. I know I went into major work mode when we could. So this year is like really some fun for me. I'm just going to be creating new songs, whatever material comes out of me. I'm just going to write. I'm learning piano. I'm also cooking. I have a cooking club called Let's Food with Tiffany. So lots of like food and music hand in hand. I'm in the studio and then I run upstairs and, work on food, and I, film myself for the cooking club. But I feel it all goes together. I think people really want more bang for their buck this time around. And so we do a lot of TIFF takeovers where I go into restaurants, either mom and pop places or high end restaurants, and work with celebrity chefs or just, again, mom and pop people that are great, food chefs and love food. And we do a acoustic concert there, and they serve one of my appetizers or entrees, and I have my own spice blends now. So they feature those. So we're just really thinking outside the box and enjoying being in the moment, like I said. And giving people some live music in all different situations.
That's awesome. That's all. And one reason I kind of mentioned how young you were, just as far as what I've seen, as far as videos out there of your current concerts, I think people are going to be really surprised at your voice. To me, I think you always had such a great voice, but now I think some of these songs have even more layers and more depth, and your voice is even maybe a little more soulful. And I think people might be a little surprised at the voice you do have now through the years. I think it's kind of aged like fine wine.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, yeah, I think there was a little battle when I started to really tour again, 2017. People were like, well, what's her voice like? What's she like as a live musician? Because I had taken some time off just to be a mom. I did some acting stuff and obviously moved to Nashville and did a lot of singer-songwriter stuff. So I was kind of growing as a musician, but I wasn't really live touring. I started back, full force in 2017. And yes, I mean, the reviews of, oh, she can really sing. And oh my gosh, I think her voice is better. And, she's writing these songs now and they're kind of pop, but rock edged. And she's really grown up. So that to me was a big fulfillment for me as an artist. It was a big, you go girl, keep going. And it's really something that I've wanted on my bucket list as a performer, for people to know that, I'm a lifer. I'm a serious musician and that I can sing and that I can write music and, this is my life. So, you know, again, go check out Shadows. It's on tiffanytunes.com. You can find it on all the streaming platforms. And then I'm always posting videos and things like that on my Facebook and my Instagram, Tiffany Tunes. So, you get a sense of people, especially if they're like thinking, oh, I want to buy a ticket, but I don't really know what I'm expecting. Of course, there's the retro stuff, but the new stuff is, I'm very proud of it.
For sure. And how much do you still love performing? And to me, that's you have such an interesting story just because of your concerts in the mall circuit, and that's something I don't think very few artists can relate that way. Do you still enjoy the performing aspect of it? You can just tell that you love your fans. What is it about performing that you enjoy so much? And talk a little bit about how that kind of started during your days touring at malls.
Well, I mean, I started actually at 9 years old. People don't, actually know. I'm working on a book right now, so
Yeah,
it'll be coming out. I don't know. I'm not going to rush myself, and I want to do it in different books. So that'll be the beginning of Tiffany, and then of course the success period and what I'm doing now. But I started off at 9 years old singing country music. I came to Nashville when I was 10. Hoyt Axton, he wrote a song called Joy to the World,
yeah.
all the boys and girls now, right? He was also the dad in Gremlins. So my dad just, didn't know anything about the music industry, but I literally didn't shut up in my bedroom. He was my stepdad. And he was like, is this what you want to do? Because I don't know anything about music. But I am military, and if you want to do something, you do it. So God bless him for his tenacity. He just was like, all right. We lived in California at the time, and he just approached bands, country bands, and said, my daughter wants to sing. She knows a few songs, and I'd hop up there, and I'd have this voice of a 30-year-old, and they'd be like, whoa. What's happening? So they would really connect the dots for us. You got to go over here and you got to meet this producer and you got to get a headshot, all those stuff, because we were extremely green. We knew nothing about the music industry. Um, and just word of mouth, I started getting gigs. I did my first tour at 10, to Alaska, where I was there for a couple of months and did a residency there. So there was a whole story behind Tiffany before I got to the opportunity to really get the record deal at 14. And that came along, I was still doing country music, but, being a girl in high school by then, I loved Stevie Nicks, I loved Hart, Pat Benatar. So I wanted to change to be more of a rocker. And we were trying that, but every time they'd get my demo tape, they'd be like, "You're 12." That's not going to work. So we kind of split the difference with, I think Real Low now and some of the I love Always Love ballads and Could Have Been. So there was a lot of like, road dog experience, packing stuff up and putting it in the car. And it's a whole team of people, my family and my mom dropping off my sisters to my aunt to watch her because we're going to gig and my mom making all my outfits. So there really wasn't a very organic start. But the one thing that's always been in common and even now to me now is the people. I love performing for people. I love that moment with them. You can kind of see sometimes when you sing a ballad, people tear up and you wonder what they're thinking. But music is very healing. It makes you excited. It can bring you just an array of emotions. Um, and I love that because it's very human. So, that's kind of what I'm thinking when I'm performing is being connected to people. Of course, you're, trying to be, the big ham on stage as well. There's that. I've never been shy. So, I've always, like I said, I was driving my family nuts, singing songs in front of the TV. My grandfather couldn't watch the news. He was like, okay, go get a cookie or something in the kitchen. Um, but it's just what I was meant to do. So I really still enjoy it. And I just have fun with it. And it's great to be doing the retro stuff right now. It's great to be doing some of the new stuff. I mix it up with my shows all the time, and it's really, again, it's awesome when people go, this song, Hey Baby, it's a new song because it kind of sounds a little 80s, but very modern production. Did I miss something? Because this is a very cool song. And I'm like, well, thank you. This is the new stuff. And we worked really hard to kind of keep that and I don't know, that thread of the fun of 80s music. And I can't really put my finger on it, but there is a vibe with the 80s. It just really does make you happy. And we really worked hard in production to keep that into the new music, keep it valid production, but also keep that, easy, digestible choruses and vibe that the 80s had.
For sure. And you talked about just the love that people have for the 80s. Our last guest, Trevor Steele from the band Escape Club, they had Wild Wild West, and he just said that he can't believe how many fans there are of the 80s and how much they get into it and seeing them at the shows. Do you have a similar experience at your shows that just that they just feel at home? Specifically, there's something about the 80s. Do you kind of feel that way?
Well, I find that the 80s audience is growing. I mean, again, I just came back from the UK and I do all the retro festivals there, but it's awesome to see like, the grandma, the mom, and the kids, and even sometimes their kids. And I think Rollono's been in a big commercial out there for McDonald's. So I get all these little ones coming up and going, "You're the lady that sings that song," So it's really cool. Again, there's something about the 80s music that keeps growing. It keeps finding homes. I mean, on Instagram, I know my goddaughter, she's only, 17, and she's like, I love everything 80s. And I'm like, well, everything but leg warmers. Yes. But I mean, that's just me. But, I'm like, yeah, I mean, she's like, it just seemed like a simpler time and the music is so cool and everybody's so diverse. And, I love some of the fashion. So it's really, I think awesome to see it continue to have a heartbeat. And I know that I do my shows and I'm a huge fan of, of music, period. But I sit on the sidelines often after I've done my gig and just watch other entertainers because I'm a fan. And I love seeing people like Howard Jones or Belinda Carlisle or Kim Wilde.
Wow.
I mean, it just goes on and on and on of these artists that, I do a lot of shows with Taylor Dane that are still just rocking it and loving it, and most importantly. So, I think that's what it's all meant to be.
Absolutely. Again, we are with Tiffany here on the 80s at 8, and I've just loved talking 80s music with her. And we'll play a couple songs, but and I think we'll wrap it up with some 80s songs. But before we do that, I would like to play a song maybe off your latest album if you are interested.
I would love that. Yes, please.
Yeah, what song would you want our listeners to hear from you?
Oh, you know what? I would play Beautiful. I always say in part of my show, because we often put this in, even in the retro set, and I go, where's all my beautiful people out there? So this is a really fun song. And I did the video in Brighton in the UK. And again, the new show, come out and see the new show Reflections, everybody, because we've got all of our videos and we've got some special screen stuff. And it's just a really cool moment in the show.
That's awesome. So we will have Beautiful here on the air, and then we'll come back and kind of wrap everything up. But I'm so excited to to debut this song to our listeners and tell me again a little bit about when the song came out and what the songwriting process on this one.
The songwriting process on this was actually my producer. We were out on the road and he's always doing tracks. He's also my fiance now. So we're together a lot. And he was just, making up a track. We do a lot of Airbnbs, and he was just creative that morning. And it was more, he comes from more of a punk background, being a Londoner, from the UK, the whole nine yards. So that's his love. And he was kind of working up this track. And I was like, I like that track. He goes, oh, well, it's not really for you in a weird way. He was like, I don't want to shoot you down, but this is just stuff that I'm working on maybe for my band or something. And I was like, no, I really like that. It has a really good vibe. He goes, well, okay. So I, being a stubborn little redhead, we had a couple interviews to go to and different things that we were doing in LA actually. So I went into, getting ready. And as I was doing my makeup, I could still hear, him working on the track. And I just went ahead and wrote all the lyrics and
Oh,
came out and just sat in the living room and sang it to him. So I was like, I think it is for me, actually. So that's how that happened.
well, here it is. It's on the 80s at 8. Here's Beautiful, and we will be right back with Tiffany. So glad she can join us, and then we will wrap it up. Here's Beautiful. That was Beautiful by Tiffany. We are so glad to be joined here on the 80s at 8 with her, and she's getting ready for her, I don't know, we can kind of call winter, but also with optimism, maybe a little spring tour as well. And you could probably find out all about the tour on tiffanytunes.com, correct?
Yes, tiffanytunes.com for all things Tiff World. We've got so many things going on. Like I said, the Tiff takeovers with the food and, music combo. And then, of course, all the live shows. And I am doing some shows with Taylor Dane. And, of course, get yourself a meet and greet so you can hang out backstage with me. And tiffanytunes.com, there's, streaming songs there. There's new photos. There's everything that's going on, even in the UK. And all the surprises that are going to happen this year, which is really excited. And get yourself a t-shirt and some of my spice blends. I got to tell you guys, they're pretty awesome. So I'm really excited to be doing more on the cooking field as well. So stay tuned to tiffanytunes.com and all socials as well. So I can't say enough about the fans that allow me to just wear all hats, really, and live my life and continue to grow as a person and as a musician, and of course doing all the live shows. We've got a full schedule for this year, so I will be rocking somewhere close to your town, hopefully, and we can, I always say, rocking some retro.
That is awesome. And speaking of, when we finish up the interview, we are going to play your biggest hits of the 80s. So excited to have all of those. And it's going to start with I Think We're Alone Now. Is that still a fun song to sing?
That is an incredibly fun song. There's something, again, when you go out and you go, children behave, and everybody goes, it's like it's a high. It's a lot of fun. And again, this show, we've got some special things. We're working more screens, and we've edited some videos and some special pictures from back in the day, and just things that I thought that would be, fun for my fans to see. Where, Reflections is the new show. That's what it's named. And that's what I'm doing. I'm reflecting on my career and how much fun it's been, and the moments with the fans. And of course, there's all the new stuff going on as well. But it really, it's great to look back and really celebrate. Oh gosh, over 30 years of a career. You got to pause for a minute and go, that's really awesome. And I've got a lot of new things going on too. So that's really awesome as well. But it all started from just me, rocking the malls, and there's some great, great memories there.
One question, that kind of a out of left field question, but what do you think it is about Tommy James's music that became so popular in the 80s? Because between your version of I Think We're Alone Now, and then Billy Idol, Moni Moni, and then even Joan Jett had Crimson and Clover, what do you think it is about that his music that was originally from the 60s that kind of resonated with people in the 80s?
Well, I mean, they're just timeless songs. They're well-written songs. I can only say, from I Think We're Alone Now, I've done it acoustic, I've done it pop, I've done it country, I've done it ska, I've done it punk, I mean, again, it goes on and on and on. It's just a well-written song. And there's something about being a little, I don't want to say naughty, but a little wink, wink to that, sexy. I think we're alone now, whatever that means to you. So, what people just identify with it, and we kind of have fun with it. I have a whole line of children behave shirts, hats, things like that. The teachers love me because they're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting that, and moms love me. I've got like a yoga line coming out now where it says children behave, so
Nice.
because I'm getting into a lot of holistic healing and things like that. That's what keeps me going. So we're just having fun with that children behave, so yeah, there's just something timeless about his music.
For sure. And then lastly, I just want to talk about Could Have Been. What a beautiful ballad. And it, I I don't know, there's just something really pretty about it. And is that a song that you're proud to have your voice on? And is it still a fun song to hear and to play?
That is my favorite song I've ever recorded, still to this day. Lois Blaish is a friend of mine, actually. Again, I recorded these songs at 14 and I was just a kid. And they were very young songwriters in Los Angeles. But I didn't really have a relationship with people because I was a kid. But now to be a fellow songwriter, and to still have these people in my life like Tim James and Steve McClintock and Lois Blaish and Mark Paul, all the originals, and still have my first band be my buddies. I stay in contact with these people. They know me, and we again created amazing music together. Even George Tobin, still talk to him. So I look at that as a highlight because I was really gifted amazing people in my life, and from the very beginning, great songs. So there was a standard there, and I always try to be on that bar, if you will, as a songwriter, because I've got my work cut out for me. It could have been as an amazing a ballad, and every time I sing it again, it's the highlight of the show. So it is my favorite song I've ever recorded.
Absolutely. It is a beautiful song. And I just can't thank you enough for joining the show, Tiffany. This is like, I mean, just as someone who grew up with, my sister always had Teen Beat magazines and your photo was on the cover. It's just so surreal to talk to you. And the fact that you are still out there performing. And I just think people should come and see you. I thank you so much for joining the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, take care, guys. TiffanyTunes.com for all things Tiff World. I'll see you at a show.
Anything else you want to get out to our listeners, Tiffany?
Nope, that's it. Just come see a show and check out the website and check out some of the other things that I'm doing because we're all, I'm always spinning something, and Team Tiff is always there making my dreams come true. And thank you guys for allowing me to do that because it's a lot of fun. You got to just get out there and go for it, So I'm very proud to be doing that.
Perfect. Coming up, we have I Saw Him Standing There and All This Time, courtesy Tiffany. Tiffany, you have a great day and have a great time on tour.
Thanks, guys. Bye.